Hey, today we're going to explore new customization capabilities in Notebook LM. It gives you a way to take the same sources and provide different relevant content to different audiences. So, briefly, if you are unfamiliar with the tool Notebook LM, it's a way to synthesize multiple sources of information. So, in this case, you can see over here on the left, I've loaded up 10 different studies and web resources on the topic of social isolation. So, a reason why it's important to be able to target the output of the synthesis of these papers is that different people want different things from the same sources of information. For example, in my career as a healthcare product manager, the value proposition and messaging could be very different depending on who the audience was, even for the same solution. So, for this particular exploration, we're going to start with a rich trove of these 11 recent research papers and other web resources on the topic of social isolation. And what we're going to do first is we're going to open up the ability to customize the audio overview. And I'm going to paste in the target audience. So in this case, we're going to target an audience of social workers looking for actionable, proven techniques to address social isolation and improve outcomes in an elderly population. For this group, what we're looking to do is go through these sources and get information that's actionable right now. Then I'm going to go and rerun a audio overview, but for a very different audience. In this case, grad students in gerontology who are looking to understand what is unknown and what needs to be explored. So rather than the social workers who are looking for proven solutions, these grad students are looking for, okay, we know some things, but what don't we know that I can work on so I can make an original contribution to research? So, same data set, very different output. So, I'm going to see how Notebook LM uh, accomplishes the task of differentiating the output for those two audiences. And then to take it to the next level, I'm going to take a very different set of papers, in which case it'll be academic research as well as critical appreciation, including some YouTube videos of the films of Wong Kar Wai. So this will be 20 different sources that we're going to look to synthesize for two different audiences. The first one, a bunch of film students looking to begin their career, and then people at a very different stage of life, a bunch of middle schoolers in a summer school program for the arts. So we'll see how Notebook LM can take the same set of resources and target people in their 20s and then tweens who are just really interested in getting started with the arts and see what it does with both of those things. So as you can see, it's taking a while to generate conversations. You don't have to wait for that. I'll just do this work. I'll splice the output together and we'll review what we find.
Now let's get to the part that I think you're probably most eager for. What can we actually do about this? What are some strategies,
Yeah.
especially strategies that social workers can use? Because I think you guys are really the ones on the front lines who are going to make a difference here.
Absolutely. And that's where I think the real expertise comes in. How do you take all this research and then turn it into something that you can use every day? I thought that the frontiers, social isolation and loneliness prevention among rural older adults aging in place, a needs assessment report. They had a really great list of risk factors to watch for, and I think those are really helpful. Things like, struggling to get access to resources, or maybe being new to a community, dealing with frailty, boredom, not knowing what kind of services are out there, or even just feeling like the community itself isn't really a place where people can thrive. Those are the things to look for.
Yeah, that's a great point. So once you've identified some of those individuals who might be at risk, what are some of the things that have been shown to be effective? Like what actually works to address social isolation and loneliness?
One of the things that has shown a lot of promise is intergenerational programs. And FP LIBA 1213866651.pdf, they really highlight how powerful it can be to bring older adults and younger people together because it actually reduces loneliness in both groups. So it's a win-win for everybody. And there's another pillar that focuses specifically on healthcare. And I know that's a big area where social workers are involved. So how does the Surgeon General see that playing out?
It's kind of acknowledging that social connection should be considered a vital sign, right up there with things like your blood pressure or your cholesterol levels. So healthcare providers need to be trained to screen for loneliness and social isolation as just a routine part of care.
Yeah, so it should be incorporated into all those standard assessments and treatment plans, which I think is a pretty big shift in thinking.
It is, and I think it's important to remember that it's not just doctors and nurses who need to be thinking about this.
Social workers are a huge part of those healthcare teams. Connecting patients with the resources and support systems in the community that can really make a difference. So it's really about that whole person approach, right?
To those on-the-ground interventions. I know we talked about intergenerational programs and some of those digital solutions, but what are some other strategies that social workers can use in their everyday practice?
Well, there's a growing movement around something called social prescribing, which is basically connecting older adults with activities and resources in the community that fit their needs and their interests.
So it's like a prescription for social engagement.
Exactly. It could be a gardening club or a book discussion group or volunteering at an animal shelter, anything that you think might bring them joy and give them a sense of purpose.
And it also takes some of the pressure off of the social worker to be the sole provider of support.
Right.
So that was interesting. It shows how the tailored prompt in Notebook LM took these sources and focused on what are actionable things that a social worker can do. Next, we'll take a prompt that takes the same set of sources, but focuses on what might a grad student investigate as part of their thesis, that things that are not actionable now, but gaps in the research that can lead to productive work.
All right, let's dive in. Today, we're all about uncovering hidden research opportunities in social isolation. Okay, so right off the bat, one thing that really struck me was this kind of interesting paradox in social isolation research.
Oh, absolutely. Especially after COVID, there's been this surge of interest, right?
Yeah, tons of new studies popping up left and right.
But here's the catch.
The quality, kind of all over the place.
Exactly, like a boom town, lots of activity, but not all of it's high quality.
So that's where the opportunity lies.
Right. For a researcher like you to step in and really raise the bar.
Oh, for sure. You actually pointed out this one study.
Yeah. I think it was analyzing digital interventions.
Yes, for social isolation.
And get this, over 70% of the systematic reviews out there were deemed, quote, critically low quality.
Wow. That's a pretty stark statistic.
It is a real red flag, but also a huge opportunity.
Okay.
Right, but wait, there's more.
Oh, no, hit me with it.
Remember when we were talking about those critically low quality reviews?
Yeah.
Well, here's a real shocker. One review revealed that there are literally 0 studies. Zero. That include participants from the LGBTQIA2S plus community.
Wow. I don't even know what to say.
I know. It's mind-boggling.
It is.
Yeah.
Think about all the unique experiences and challenges within this community.
Exactly. How do their experiences of isolation differ? What kind of support systems do they have? Are there unique needs or challenges that require tailored interventions?
So much we don't know.
A complete research goldmine waiting to be tapped.
And
Some interesting differences in the way the AI grabs and positions the content from the sources based on the needs of the target audience. Next, let's shift gears utterly and look at a set of research and critical appraisals of the filmmaker Wong Kar-wai and present it first towards a group of film students, and then towards a group of middle schoolers interested in the arts, and see how that big difference plays out in what Notebook LM grabs and presents, and how it talks about, and the level of language that it uses in addressing those two different audiences.
Well, actually, you know what? His first film,
Yeah.
As Tears Go By,
Mm,
that film kind of bridges this gap.
I see.
It has elements of the classic Hong Kong action film,
Uh-huh.
but you can already see like those signature WKW touches emerging.
Yeah, I've always been so drawn to his visuals.
Yes.
The neon-drenched urban settings, the way he uses slow motion, those blurred, almost out-of-focus shots.
Yeah.
The soundtracks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are phenomenal.
It's just everything.
Everything.
It's so visually rich.
You're right. And that visual style is really interesting because it's like a tapestry woven from such diverse influences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you see hints of Italian neorealism
Hmm?
in the way that he kind of textures those scenes. You get a nod to European art cinema, like Antonioni and Godard.
Right.
In the framing, the pacing.
Mhm.
And then, of course, there's like the melodrama
Yeah,
that's so deeply rooted in Chinese cinema.
of course. Yeah.
And then, on top of all of that,
Mhm.
you've got his personal experiences growing up in Hong Kong
Right.
during the 60s.
Right. So it's all kind of coming together.
It all...
You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, his films explore the complexities of relationships, the longing, the heartbreak, the fleeting nature of connection.
Absolutely.
Like, think about Shrinking Express and In the Mood for Love.
Yeah,
They're more about the feeling of love than
Yeah.
a straightforward narrative of a relationship.
I get you.
Capturing those moments of, like, missed connections,
Yes.
paths crossing, but not quite aligning.
He uses those recurring motifs.
Yeah.
Like characters trying to escape their pasts
Uh-huh.
or recreate those lost moments.
Yes.
You know, like Yudi in Days of Being Wild.
Right.
I mean, it's like they're caught in this cycle of yearning.
Yes. That's where the theme of memory comes into play.
Yeah.
His films are so steeped in nostalgia, that feeling of longing for something that's gone,
Right.
the impossibility of recapturing the past.
Yeah.
But it's not just about...
Hey, everyone. Welcome to our Wong Kar-wai deep dive.
All right.
Yeah. Especially for you artsy middle schoolers out there.
Mhm.
You guys ever heard of Wong Kar-wai?
So As Tears Go By, there's this gangster named Wah,
Okay.
and he's really tough, and he wears these sharp suits.
Okay.
But as he falls in love, his clothes get more casual,
Interesting.
like he's letting his guard down.
I see.
So Wong Kar-wai uses costumes, like
Oh.
a secret language,
Costumes are a secret language.
which show how the characters are changing inside.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got, and even clothes that tells stories.
Yeah.
What else makes this Wong Kar-wai dude so unique?
Okay, so imagine you're listening to your favorite song.
Okay.
It makes you feel all these different things, right?
Yeah.
Happy, sad, excited.
Mm-hmm.
Wong Kar-wai does that with his whole film.
Really?
Yeah, he uses color and music and this dreamy slow motion to make you feel a certain way, to create this mood.
So it's like when I make a playlist
Exactly.
to match my mood,
Yeah.
he does that with an entire movie.
An entire movie, yeah.
Oh,
And here's what's even more interesting.
what?
Wong Kar-wai doesn't always use a script.
What?
No script.
How do the actors know what to do?
So he has a basic idea of the story,
Okay.
but he likes to let the actors and the locations inspire him.
Oh.
He'll shoot tons of footage, sometimes for years.
Years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he'll figure out the story in the editing room. Yeah.
Maybe we'll even get inspired to create our own art.
There you go.
That's like leveling up my art skills just by watching a movie.
Exactly.
So what's like the biggest takeaway from all this?
I think the biggest lesson is
Okay.
don't be afraid to be different.
Okay.
Be bold, experiment.
Mhm.
And don't be scared to follow your own creative path,
Right.
even if it's a little weird or messy.
And don't forget to find your crew. Those people who get your crazy ideas
Yeah.
and want to make some awesome with you.
That's the spirit. Like,
Yeah.
any art is all about sharing your vision with the world.
Totally.
And who knows, maybe one day your work will inspire others.
Yeah.
Just like Wong Kar-wai has inspired us.
All right, that's a wrap on our Wong Kar-wai deep dive. We hope you guys are feeling inspired to check out his films.
Yes.
Maybe even create some art of your own.
Absolutely.
Remember, be bold, be you, and keep those creative sparks flying.
Yeah.
So that middle school version of Wong Kar-wai is very different than the same sources when it's addressing a audience of film students. So I hope you find it interesting the way you can really target the audience and what they need to get out of it by giving a generative prompt to Notebook LM. Uh, why not try it yourself and share your results in the comments below? And if you want to see more information and more experiments with Notebook LM, feel free to give me a subscribe. Take good care and hope you have a great day.